Welcome back. So it's the next day. We put that on the surface plate and hopefully that's visible, I don't know. It's only threading in that area. So as expected, this is high. Let's do the underside. That was our marks. I take those marks off and just put it on the stone. We'll see what comes out of it. So that actually looks worse. It's threading a little bit here, and a little bit here, and a little bit here. So, as expected, this surface is pretty worn. So the whole thing is V-shaped. So you get here, here, and just on the edge here and here. You can feel it. It's very light on the surface plate. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue this one and check it against this one, or let's check that one first. How that looks. That's the tool holder. Interestingly, it's a bit of a weak spot here. It's only bearing here, but not here. The rest is flat, but this area seems to be a bit of a fail. We'll check it for scratches or chips or whatever, but that's interesting. Maybe that's just worn in this place. So the next one we're gonna do now is taking that one, clean it as good as we can, and then we're gonna glue this end and see how the bearing surfaces actually mating together. There's some wear here, and that's the end here. There's a ding here. There's a ding here. We'll see what we get. Let me just glue that. Doesn't take the glue very well. So the trick is now getting that moved in without hitting the ground. So this is our normal operating. I can feel a ridge here. This is the position we most likely work with. And what we see is here, here. So these surfaces are matched quite well together. I think if you stone that corner, I need to check that, but I think there is actually a corner here. That's how it feels. Let me go over these burrs with a stone and try it again. So we tried our best stoning the two surfaces, but what we have is a bearing here and something around here. So these areas are actually threading. We still have this corner, and this corner threading. The rest is doing nothing. I think I'll leave that alone for now, because when you put it on, it feels sort of okay, but it certainly will need some work. I'm still thinking if I'm going to do it with a shaper or with a grinder. I probably get better off that with a grinder. I'll have a think about it, and then we'll come back. Apparently someone hit that with a hammer here. Yeah, we also need to address the chewed off parts here. Don't know what to do there. There's not much you can do. Get rid of the burrs, and there's a corner missing here. That's all we can do. Just make the edges good, because this edge is, there's a nick here, and you can feel that was definitely grinding somehow. But if I check the wear, it's fairly even. So for now, I think we take those 500s off with a grinder. I'll have a think about it and come back. So we set up in the shaper because on the grinder I just can't fit it to do both surfaces together. It's just not enough. It's got a grinder, it's not a surface grinder. So we're gonna start in the middle. I blued everything with a Sharpie just to see where we're at, and then just feed that up slowly. Looks pretty good actually. Surface looks good. Let's start from here. So we just finished the first pass and the surface finish is very good. We still see some marks here. There is a big dent here and it's still coming down here a little bit, so I'm gonna do another pass. I just want to get rid of most of it. I don't mind if there are a few marks left. I just want to take as little as possible material off. So we're giving another 200-300 of a millimeter, and the tool is doing fine. It's a round nose tool. I have the best results in cast iron with round nose tools, so just work well. So this time we've so I blued it again. This time we're barely touching it. You still can see that scratch mark, but we're taking material off on the whole width. So let me finish that off and then we'll check it on the surface plate. So I don't know if it's visible. I'll try to produce some glare here. We're still a bit shy here, and that battle mark is visible. That edge is shy, but again I didn't want to take off too much material because there is a limited amount left. Yeah, we got one ridge which is a bit higher here. I'm gonna lap that a little bit, and I think we're good to go. That's it. It's really flush now. I think a bit of lapping and something is scratching here. Look, that's the blue taken over from the tool post. That's good. I'm happy with that. Okay, we're gonna stone that surface a little bit. There's still one big scratch, but I'm gonna live with that. We know it's fairly flat now. We took probably about 500-600 of a millimeter off, except in the middle there was a bit more. That flatness is probably the best my shaper can do. This machine is over 80 years old, so it's not the most accurate one as well. But I'm happy so far. Need to address that bearing, and then we can put it back together. Again, I decided not to do anything on these surfaces for now. That's one of the reasons why I didn't go any further, because I don't know the reference to the bottom. I was just laying it flat on the ways, and we know they are not straight. They got some uneven wear as well, so I just laid it flat on the shaper and let the shaper do as best as he could. Welcome back. So it's the next day, and we are addressing our play in the spindle, or in the lead screw here. We have about 0.4 millimeter play in that bearing here, and there's no particular way to adjust that, so I think I'm gonna look for a washer which is thin enough to get at least a little bit off that play, and I think we're gonna fit it here, because when you turn the lead screw you're working against that shoulder here, so the pressure is on the original bearing rather than on the, yeah, that's what it is. So that's what we're trying to adjust it here, because the handle goes flush, there's nothing you can do. Once the nut is tight, it's tight, and this is just play, and so we tighten it a ring a little bit. I think that should do it. Let's find a washer which fits there, and we should be good to go. With the other side, I stoned that a little bit. There is a little bit of scrape marks from the shaper. It's minimal, but the bearing surface is good. We're still a bit low on this side here, but again, I don't want to take anything off, or I don't want to take any more off than really required. We'll see how it behaves. We got at least a good bearing surface now. On the bottom, I stoned that corner and all the burrs away, and there is some considerable wear here. I think it was dry, that was the reason, or may have eaten some chips, because it's really rough surface. So I just stoned the highs away, and there was a chip here as well. I stoned that away as well. You could really feel it. With that end, I just took the burrs off with a stone, and here we had some really bad nicks here. I took them away as well, and you could see the same here. These are the mating surfaces. It's really rough here. I think it was the lack of oil at the end. There is at least, I'll make that 3/10 of millimeter wear. We're gonna address that later. I think it's threading quite well at the moment, and may address the cross slide as well. I just take it off and have a look inside how the nut looks like, and also the spindle, just to have an idea where we are, and because there is some play in the nut, I can feel it, so I just need to figure out how to take it apart. So we soaked everything in 68 grade whey oil, and now we're gonna try to reassemble the whole thing. I just found out the nut was actually the wrong way around. That's a chamfered end and that's a straight end, so it's strange. Maybe someone played around with. I'm just soaking everything in whey oil here. So it's gonna work somehow like this. It's finding the hole for the spindle. So I need to find the right size hex key. To tighten that one you need a spanner like that, but that's a bit too big, so I'm just going to put something in the middle here and tighten it up. So that That appears to be a 5.5mm hex Allen key. So, okay. We're gonna look into that washer later because I couldn't find one which fits. So, we'll just oil it up for now. And then we get the handle on. There's no key, it's a pin. And the nut is round at the front. So just screw it on and we should be good to go. Okay. So let's get the gib in. I stoned that gib as well. There was a nick somewhere. I think it has eaten a chip somewhere. I think it was about here. So I just took the burrs off. Alright, let's get that in. Yeah, I think the start of that thread was a bit weird. So just tighten that up until it feels right. I'm just trying to get a firm feeling here. Still a bit light. It's a taper gib, so it needs a bit of playing around. That's almost too stiff, but it's alright. So if we take our feeler gauge, we got almost no play. So we need a 0.4mm washer, and that makes everything nice and smooth here. So I think we'll leave it this way until we got it on the machine. We stoned that surface, we're going to stone it on the machine as well because there are a few burrs as well. What I do first is actually taking the cross slide off, have a quick look into it, and just make sure that's tight here. The major issue is this was loose and we had a few dings and dents and burrs here. So we use it for a while and see how it seats in. Everything is well oiled now. Let's give the lead screw another dab of oil here. These old machines, they must drip oil and then they're right. Same over here. It's a mess, but you can't have too much. Prevents it from rusting as well, so it's not a bad thing. Okay, so that's back together. We need to watch that screw here. There was a reason why it was loose. Maybe it was just loose because someone didn't look at it, or it's coming loose because the thread in the nut might be not so good anymore. We'll find out. If it's coming loose, I'm going to use a little bit of blue Loctite. Alright, let's get to the machine and try to get the cross slide off. So we just pulled the gib from the cross slide, and it's got a strange mark here. There is a bearing surface on the gib, and that is cracked. I don't know what material that is. Maybe cast and the rest is steel, I don't know. But this is cracked a little bit, that's the reason why it looks so strange. What we know is it's binding at the rear. That's the reason why I took the gib out. So let's take that slide out and bring it over here. Let's see how it looks like. So that's our cross slide. A few ridges. So it was low on oil for a while. But the most important point is, yes, the nut is about to be replaced. I'm not going to take it out, but there is very little thread left. There's quite a bit of material missing. There's nothing we can do today except taking those, just stone those burrs off. I think it's eaten some chips here. That's the inner end, but that's the tailstock side. That's the end towards the tailstock. That's strange. It's got some wear here as well, so if you go over it with a stone, you can see it. Yeah, there's a dent here. Yeah, you can see some high spots here. Don't know what happened. It appears, yeah, it appears to, there's some strange nicks here. It appears to be used with very little oil. This is the chuck side. Interesting, they got a wider slide here and narrower at the end because the cutting forces are here. Interestingly, that surface looks better than this one here. It's just at the end, and I think the machine looks similar. Let's have a quick look. As expected, this end doesn't look so good. We have some lead screw wear in that area here. It's about in the middle, where I would say the screw is worn down half. It looks good here, it looks good here, makes sense. We can always see grind and scrape marks here at the end, but we have some wear in the middle, and we see some signs of lack of oil. There's a bit of a ridge here, but I would say it's not too bad. Certainly a scraping job at some point, but I think for now we try to get rid of the burrs. It's eaten some chips here. There was a lot of grime on this ridge here because that's not a bearing surface, that's open, and still can find chips here. The machine is surprisingly clean inside. There's not many chips here, or almost none. A bit of brass here. So there's nothing we can do. There's the same issue with the bearing play here, which we can address with a washer. That makes it a little bit better, but at the end of the day it's going to be a new lead screw and a new nut. The nut is really worn, and the lead screw as well, so the play, if I eliminate that bearing play, there is still play left, and that's the way it is after that time. And the center area is the usual area you use the machine, because the nut is at the end of the cross slide, so the slide is about that long, and the rest is just a chip guard. So makes perfectly sense, that wear pattern. It's been used, of course. Alright, let's clean it up a little bit, oil it, put it back together, and live with it for now. So we just found another reason why this might chatter and why it's worn out the the surface so much, because this thing is flush in, but I think, yeah, it's not flush. Yeah, 0.1 millimeter goes under. That's fairly straight. I can feel it. So the absolute value doesn't really matter. And the problem is that the slot in the tool rest is about here. So what it does, it's bearing on these two corners, and this thing is chattering. And that may have hammered our tool rest over time. I also found a little burr nick here. That was probably the reason why it wasn't threading in that area. Anyway, we're gonna take that on the small lathe and just take a few tenths off.